All right, welcome to the training today, everybody. Today is going to be the first installment in a long series that we're going to be doing about the Volusion web builder. Which, if if you're in a spot where you're going to be building a site with us, specifically a site that is done in conjunction with some kind of a supplier where you're going to be selling a product, a drop shipper of some sort, Volusion is the recommended piece of software that we use. Um, for those types of businesses. And the majority of you guys are going to have that type of business if you don't already. I know a lot of you guys who are here live right now, 3/4 of you have a Volusion software ready to go. The other ones, when you're ready, and we'll talk about at what point you should get one of these set up. You guys will be getting one of these as well. So I want to just talk first. When I say Volusion, guys, what am I talking about? What is this Volusion software I'm talking about? Those of you guys who are using it right now. If somebody's like, "Hey, what's Volusion?" How would you explain that? Yeah, it's your web builder. It's a good answer. It's your hosting provider as well. Yep. Actually, I'm gonna just take a couple of notes here if you don't mind. So we're gonna say, what is Volusion? Well, it's a web builder. And when I say web builder, it's not like a person who's building a web. It's a web builder tool, we'll say. It's like the shovel in your hand if you were out digging a hole in the ground, right? That's what Volusion is. It's the shovel in your hand to actually build a website and manage a website. It's also sort of like a web, I'm going to call it a web-based software. So in other words, if you're using Volusion, guys, you don't actually download anything to your computer. You create an account, and we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. I know a lot of you guys already have accounts, but you create an account, and it's web-based, so you access that account online. Okay. Um, it's centered. So look, there's a lot of different web building softwares out there. In fact, if I grabbed 100 random websites off of Google who were selling products and surveyed them and said, "Hey, what kind of software are you using to manage and run your website?" You would get lots of varying answers. I don't know exactly what the percentages would be. Volusion's very popular. They're probably one of the top, I don't know, top 5, maybe top 10 most popular and most widely used softwares for running one of these e-commerce sites. There are others. I get the question a lot, why do we use Volusion, right? Like, because we could recommend a lot of different web building softwares out there. Back in the day when I first started this, there were just a small handful of softwares that were any good. Now, coming up on the year 2016 like this, there are there's hundreds of web building softwares, but still there's only a few that are really any good. I think if at any time I were to be building a site where I'm going to be using a shopping cart where people can check out and pay me on the site for a product, I would use Volusion every single time. It's my web builder of preference, and as a company, it's the one that we recommend above and beyond any other web building software out there. And I won't go into all the reasons why that is. We'll talk about a few today, but it's affordable. It's scalable, meaning, as your business gets bigger, it's a great software and platform to be on. It's super dependable. Very, very, very rarely is there any downtime on your website. It's modern and nice. The designs look really good. I think it's easy to use. It's very, very search engine friendly. So it's just all around a really good platform to use. And that's really why we like it. They've been around for about 15 years, the company themselves. So we're not Volusion, by the way. I want to make that clear. We're our company isn't Volusion. Volusion's just the tool we recommend. They're a company based out of Texas. Um, Currently with them, there's like 450 employees, so they're pretty good sized. Big company, been around for 15 years, and what they tout and what I think is interesting, and this instills a little bit of trust in my clients when I recommend it, but over the years they've done over $21 billion in sales off of their websites. In other words, people who use their websites have culminated into $21 billion of revenue. Obviously they work, and there's a lot of people that use them. So I guess I tell all of you guys this so that if later on you hear about other web builders, and you'll hear about these now that you're kind of in this business, there's and I won't list them because there's lots of them, but GoDaddy has their own web builder, and there's some free ones out there. There's WordPress and Weebly and all sort, BigCommerce and Magento and Shopify, and I could go on and on. These are different types of software as well. They all have their pros and cons. We've evaluated those pros and cons, and we still feel like Volusion's the best bet. So that's why we're telling you to use them. Luckily, because we have a lot of clients that work in our program, over the years we've been recommending Volusion. We have a pretty unique relationship with them to where we can get you that Volusion software at a really fairly affordable setup. And we'll talk about that pricing here in a minute. Number 3, what is Volusion? It's your host. Okay. Now, guys, what do I mean by that? When I say Volusion is also a host, what am I talking about? What is hosting on the internet? What does that even mean? Anybody who's here live, can you comment on that at all? Jeff, which web builder do you use? Jeff says he already has a different website or a web building software tool. What's the name of yours? I may know it. But if I recommend you switch, to your question, Jeff, talk to your coach about that. I won't tell you to switch, just because I'm not responsible for your account. But talk to your coach. What I'm saying is, if I were starting a new site today, and if I have an old site that's not performing well, yes, I would consider switching over to Volusion for sure. But yeah, to my initial question, guys, what's hosting? Hosting is what makes your site show up online. Everybody who has a website on the internet has some sort of host somewhere. And here's the best way I can describe what I'm trying to say. If you have a computer, you buy a computer and you want to save movies and documents and files and music, and every time you save something on your computer, it uses up space on your computer, right? It uses up memory or hard drive, doesn't it? So you buy a computer now and they have X number of gigabytes of space or hard drive space, right? If your computer didn't have a hard drive, guys, when you went to save something, what would happen? What if you tried to save a file without a hard drive? Would it even save? Probably wouldn't save, would it? There would be nowhere to save it because you don't have a hard drive. Well, if you tried to build a website and get it onto the internet without a hosting provider, it wouldn't ever show up online, ever. You have to have a host. A host is to your internet business like a hard drive is to your computer. You have to have it. And hosting space costs money. It's not free because your files that make up your website, the software that makes up your website, all the storage that happens, the images you load onto it, any of the files that sort of compose and make up your website, that all takes up space, and it has to be housed somewhere on a server. And with Volusion, they have their own servers that your website is housed on and saved on. And so the minute you set up with Volusion, you have to pay a monthly hosting cost. And this isn't just, I mean, this isn't just for our program or any program. This is if you own a website on the internet, everybody does this very same thing. Okay, now you'll see, and I want to talk about hosting for just a minute. So let's come down on our notes, because hosting is always a concern for my clients. Hosting on Volusion with our setup is $39.95 per month. Okay. Now I'm not trying to sell you anything here, guys. This is like, use Volusion or not. We recommend you use it if you're going to be using e-commerce. In fact, if you're having a site built with us and you're doing a site with us, we're going to be using Volusion. That's the best bet. But anytime you guys are in our program and are going to use Volusion, you get a couple of months free. So we're not going to charge you this $40 a month right up front. And that's not because it's free. Somebody has to pay that amount, guys, and it's us paying it for the first few months while you're getting familiar with your Volusion. How you go about setting it up, just real quick, is you can either email support@ementormail.com, or I would probably just call our support number. It's easier because they need to get you on the phone anyway. I'll just put the number right here, 877-867-8239 to set up your Volusion account. You call them and you'll say, hey, I need to set up my Volusion software. They'll know just exactly what to do. You set up the Volusion through our my office. So when you call that number, that's going to go directly to my office. Say, I need to set up Volusion. They'll say, okay. They'll set it up for you. They'll put it in your name. You own the rights to the software. And what they will do, however, is they will take a card of some sort, a credit card, and put it on file of yours. And then they're going to give you a billing date. They're going to say, okay, 2 months from now or whatever it is, we're going to start billing you for this $39.95 a month. And you'll pay that $39.95 a month forever, for as long as your website's on the internet. The idea behind us paying for those first 2 months is so that you can get the site up and the site can start paying for itself before you have to come out of pocket anymore. I mean, I don't love the fact that hosting is something any of us have to pay. I wish that hosting were free, right? None of us had to pay hosting, but anyway, that's not the way it works, right? I wish you could also not exercise and eat like crap and still be in shape, but that's not true either, right? Some things just are. And if you own a website, you have to have hosting. Okay, so does that make sense, guys, on the hosting front? Is that clear? Are there questions about how that works? While you're thinking of any questions, there's one thing I want to address right now. And that's this question right here. I get this a lot, and this is fine. I understand that, but I want to address this right now. Why am I paying $39.95 per month when I could get hosting at GoDaddy for $2.99 a month or whatever? Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that hosting providers out there like GoDaddy, like Bluehost, 1-in-1? I mean, there's lots of hosting providers. They tout this thing where they offer cheap hosting, right? Have you ever seen that? And I get clients that are sometimes like, "Whoa, wait a minute! I'm paying $40 a month for hosting on my site. Can't I just have? Let me just have GoDaddy do the hosting because their hosting is cheaper." Well, guys, the $39.95 a month isn't just paying for your monthly hosting. That's paying for access to the software and all the tools that come with Volusion. If you were to try to go to GoDaddy, you wouldn't have access to Volusion software with GoDaddy. You would have access to their really low-grade crap web building software. And I mean that. It's not very good. You kind of get what you pay for in the hosting world with website builders, and if you're going to have a really nice, fully functional e-commerce site that looks modern and is has all the tools you need to be successful, you don't want to use a cheap hosting provider like GoDaddy and expect to have all of that work for you. We pay $40 a month with Volusion because it's better. And yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal if we're up and making money. It is initially when you first sign up for it, but that's the whole reason why we do the 2 months for free in the first place, so that you don't have to feel that. So I just want to make sure you understand the difference. It's a little like saying, I drive a Corvette and my neighbor drives a Ford Taurus, right? And it's like saying they're the same thing because they're both cars. Well, yeah, they are, right? They both have 4 wheels or four tires. They can both take me from A to B. One is just a whole lot better than the other one, right? One is just a lot nicer, a lot faster, a lot better in every way than the other one. But they are still both cars. It's this is the comparison I'm making. It's a little like Volusion's the Corvette, and the $299 GoDaddy is what name that car, right? A 1982 Toyota Celica or whatever, right? Don't be offended if that's your car. I'm just trying to make the distinction that they really are different. Okay. All right. So, guys, are we clear on the hosting part? If you already have your Volusion site right now, you're already set up. Then you're already set up to do the $39.95 a month at some point in the future. If you need to call for what your billing date is, you're welcome to contact our support department and they can let you know. If you haven't set up your hosting yet, before you do, so before you guys who are newer to the program right now that are here, before you run off and just go set up Volusion, can I recommend a few things first? So I'm going to call this before we set up with Volusion, okay? Number one, because I don't want you guys wasting your couple of months of free hosting, right? So before you set up with Volusion, there's a few things that we want you to have prepared. Let me look at. I've got some questions coming in right now. So Kim, good question. Kim says, do I have to do anything every month regarding hosting other than pay? You don't. So once we have a credit card on file, we'll just automatically pull from that credit card once a month for hosting. You'll see it come out every single month, and you don't have to do anything. That just happens. No upfront cost on Volusion, Jeff. No upfront cost. The only cost on Volusion is going to be your monthly hosting fee. Okay. All right. Now let me make a quick distinction. I know some of you guys at some point will have paid for some sort of a web design package. We have a website design department here in our office that builds websites for our clients that have paid them for it. And if you've paid for some website design or website construction, here's what happens. You still set up a Volusion account in your name, and you'll do it just the way that we talked about. But rather than you designing your Volusion site, they design it for you. So they still use Volusion as the software, but they're going to design and build out the site. That's the difference. So keep that in mind. Okay. So before we set up with Volusion, couple of pieces of advice. Have your niche decided. Okay. What we don't want to do on a Volusion website is we don't want to like recreate a Walmart or a Target, right? We're not going to try to sell electronics, baby supplies, and baby products, furniture, home decor, gardening supplies, kitchen products, sporting gear, clothing, jewelry. You don't want to do all of that on one site. Have a niche, right? Decide on a niche first, and that should be something you work on with your coach. Number two, you should have a domain name. So I'm going to say have a domain chosen and registered. Okay? We're not going to talk about domains right now. We'll talk about that later, but you need to have one chosen and registered. You should have a supplier, whether that's a retailer or some sort of a wholesale drop shipper. You should have a supplier ready to go. Essentially, guys, you want these things done so that when you get access to Volusion, you guys can just start cranking on it instead of getting access to this really great software and then having to do this other stuff first before you start the development of the site. Okay? That makes sense, guys? Questions about that? Or are we good there? All right, I'm going to go on. If you got questions, let me know. So, a lot of times once you get access to your Volusion, you're going to be given a website address from your coach. Okay? It'll look like this. Do you see my address up here? I know this is really small. I'm highlighting it in blue at the top. But this is what your initial Volusion website address will look like. It'll be some funny combination of letters with an ending called servertrust.com. Even if you have a domain name, a lot of times your site will have one of these funny addresses. If it doesn't, if your site actually is connected to your domain name right now, then great. But if it's got one of these funny addresses right here, talk to your coach about it, and they'll get it connected over to your domain name. Okay? But initially, your site will have some kind of a template that'll look like this. I'm actually sitting on a Volusion site that was just recently set up, and it's just kind of a template site that looks like this. Got some fake template type products. No matter what, if you want to get to the admin of your site, okay, where you can edit. So right now I'm on this website, and it's like if a customer were here, kind of just a template site, nothing going on. But if I want to get to my admin section, usually at the bottom of the site in the footer area, and when I say footer, I'm talking about this bottom area right here. In the footer area, there should be a sign in or an account section. So I'm going to click sign in. Let me log out first. I'm going to click sign in, and it's going to take me to this login page right here, guys. Now, you guys, if you own the Volusion account, if I come in here and I put in my login, which your coach will give you, you will then log in to your administrative area, okay? I know it says returning customers right here. Well, your customers have an opportunity to create an account on your site, and so that's why it says that. But if you're going to log in to do any editing at all, product adding, category adding, editing of the look of the site, managing of orders, you have to log in here first. This is your Volusion login page. On some of the templates, there'll be a My Account up here at the top right. You can click My Account and get to the same spot. And then you log in. Okay, this is assuming, of course, you have your Volusion account all set up. So I'm going to log in and kind of show you what happens when I log in. Okay, it takes me to this page right here. You're going to see this white bar come up right here at the top. You see that? It says Volusion at the top left. It's got these two little icons. One will be orange, one will be white, right? You guys see that okay? You're going to see edit, get help. It'll say hi, whatever your first name is, so on and so forth. If you don't see this, it might be because there's a little arrow right here. Do you see that? See this little arrow right here? Click the arrow and it will give you this expanded bar. If I click the arrow again, it takes it away. See that? I'll click it a couple of times so you can see what I'm doing. It's this little arrow at the top right. So you want this. This is sort of like your admin editing toolbar right here. You want that to show up, okay? If this is showing up, you know you've logged into your account. The other clue that helps you know if you've logged into your account is if you're on your website, if you start to get these little edit boxes, see these blue edit boxes that keep popping up? See those? That means you're in your admin section as well. Those are just some clues to help you know where you're at. Now, if I come up here to where the Volusion logo is and I click on this white icon called Manage Store, it takes me into my dashboard, okay? This is where a lot of the magic happens with Volusion. This is kind of like your intro page when you're inside your administrative account. This is called your dashboard. And it'll look a little bit like this. It'll have a blue menu here at the top with orders, customers, inventory, marketing, designs, reports, settings. And this is what we're gonna be training about over the next year here. We're gonna show you all the functionality of all of this. That's beyond the scope of what I wanted to talk about today. I'm just trying to give you a good intro to what Volusion is all about. I'll show you a couple of the basics here in just a second. But if I'm here inside this admin and I want to get back out to where I'm looking at the website again, I just simply click on the View Store icon right here, okay? So I'm going to click on that, and that takes me back out to the website. It doesn't matter where I'm at on the website. I can always toggle between these two buttons right here, okay? So if I'm over here on the Category 4 page, and I want to go back to my initial dashboard, I can come up and click on this icon once again, the Manage Store icon. Once I click on it, it takes me back to my dashboard. If I want to go back to my site, I click on View Store, so on and so forth, okay? You'll be toggling back and forth as you're working on your site. All right, let me give you a couple of recommendations here, okay? I'm going to call these general tips. Number one, and I'm going to put this in caps, use Google Chrome with Volusion. Don't use Internet Explorer, okay? So no IE or Internet Explorer, no Firefox, no Safari. Okay, look, different browsers have different pros and cons, but Volusion is better developed for Google Chrome than anything else. Internet Explorer is very glitchy on it. Firefox is a little less dependable. So is Safari. Google Chrome is how you want to run this. So if you don't use Google Chrome actively right now, download it. You go to google.com/Chrome and you can get on and use it. But use Google Chrome. It is the best internet browser for Volusion. It'll make a big difference, okay? Less glitchy. Number two, here's a little tip. If you're adding products to your site, and every time you add a product, the description disappears, okay? I don't know if I'll be able to replicate this, but I'll try. So if you were to add a product right now, and this is basically what you would do. You'd log into your Volusion like this. You'd go to Inventory right here, and you would select Products, okay? And it would take you to this Products page, and you would simply click on the Add Product button, okay? So I'm going to click that button. It's going to take me to a form. Now, this is going to look a lot like eBay's form. If any of you guys have been listing on eBay, this should look very similar. It asks you to basically just fill out a very simple form to get a product onto your Volusion site, okay? Well, I'm going to recommend you open up your supplier in another tab. So if you're watching me here, you see these tabs I have up here at the top right now? This tab right here is the Volusion tab. This tab right here is my notes tab that I'm taking for you guys. I can come right out here to this tiny little new tab button. If I click on that, it brings out another window, and I could go here to say, let's say my supplier is walmart.com. Well, I'm going to bring them up in a tab. That way I can quickly tab back and forth from Walmart to my site. See that? I need something on Walmart, I click the tab and I'm there. If I want to go back to my site, I click the tab. It makes it very easy to toggle back and forth between windows. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to toggle back and forth between Walmart. Let's say I'm adding a product here. I'm just going to grab something at random. And we'll get in more into depth on product adding here soon in one of these trainings. But for right now, let me just show you this. Okay, let's say I'm going to add this product right here. Okay, this is a Star Wars Dome tent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the title, right? It's a lot like eBay. Highlight, we'll copy the title. I'm going to go back over here to Volusion, and I'm going to paste that in the name of the product. For the product code, which is a required field, I'm going to put for my supplier, in this case, who is Walmart, I'm going to do WM dash. And then if there's a product number somewhere here, I'll use it. This is a Walmart number right here. I guess I could use that Walmart number. I'm going to copy it and paste it in just like that, okay? Now, I'm using Walmart as my supplier. Obviously, you may have some other type of supplier, but Walmart just for the example. And yes, Randy, you can do a split screen if you want to. You could do 2 windows and split the screens. I'm not going to show you how to do that right now. That can be something we do in the product adding. If you prefer to do a split screen, you can. I actually prefer tabs over a split screen because I think it's easier. For weight, as a default, just put in the number 1. You put in the price right here, whatever your price is. Okay, couple of rules. No dollar signs here in the price. And then for the code, no pound symbols. You don't want a pound symbol there. It won't work. You'll get an error. For the description, I'm going to copy a description real quick from Walmart. Just highlight, copy, come back over here and paste it in. Okay, now once I paste in the description, once it's pasted in, do me a favor and always hit the space bar 1 time once you paste in the description. Okay, I know you didn't see me do it, but I hit the space bar a couple of times here. That will ensure that the description saves. If you're finding that you're adding products and your descriptions are not saving, you need to do this. You need to copy, paste, and hit the space bar once you're done, and that should fix the issue. We'll do more on product adding later, okay? All right, so I can come down here and I can add it to a category, whatever category I have, apply. I can add in an image right here. Before I can add this image in, I need to save it to my computer, so I would need to go here to Walmart and save this image. Now, the nice thing about Volusion is there's no image requirements. So this could be as big or as small as I want. I'm just going to click the add button right here. I get a window that comes up. I'm going to select choose file, and I'm going to select my product image, and I'm going to upload it in just like that. Then if I save the product, which I'll hit that save button at the very bottom of the screen, it should save on my site, right? I put it in category 4 right here, and here it is showing up on category 4. Okay? Those are just some basics of adding a product. Now, if you're going to add a category to Volusion, just real quickly, I'm going to go back into my managed store. I go to inventory, and then I go to categories. And I'm going to click this add button right here. We're going to do a whole session on categories soon, so just bear with me. But I hit the add button for categories. I can do test category. I put in my name right here. If you want to make it a subcategory of something, you can. If you don't, you just leave that part blank. And if you want it to show up in your main menu, you select nav menu 1 like that, okay? Once done, you hit the save button and your category will be added. Now, there's some editing you can do to your categories, but that's the basics of creating a category, okay? So guys, it's using Volusion can be very, very simple. It can be really complex. You can kind of make it as easy or as hard as you want it to be. But it does work well, and if you're using Volusion, it's the right choice for your site. We're going to take this opportunity every single Wednesday going forward, and we're going to train you on how to use it and how to use it well so you feel completely comfortable with it. We get lots of questions from our clients about little issues they're having with Volusion, and often, if they were just trained a little bit better, we probably wouldn't get those questions, and that's of course what we're designing this webinar to do, okay? Okay, so with that said, I don't want to go any longer. I've kept you guys long enough. Let's finish up. Are there any other questions, high level, about Volusion? I don't want to go into detail today just for the sake of this training. We're going to go into detail as we go along. But any other just high level questions about Volusion? Enter works too, Gail. Sure. It's actually interesting when you're adding a product and you're doing the copy and paste into the description, whether you hit the space bar, delete a letter and then put a letter back, add another letter, hit enter, you just have to edit that area for it to save. Breaky, I'm glad to hear that. Breaky just said, so far I found Volusion very easy to use. I already have 400 products listed. Good for you. Good. How does a supplier build in their information? You take it manually from your supplier and add it in. Volusion has the ability to import information from a supplier, but typically, for reasons that I won't talk about right now, it's much easier if you manually bring in product information from your supplier, kind of like what we did here with the Walmart example. What is tip 2? Okay, I'm glad you asked me that because it actually relates directly to you guys, Richard and Virginia. So when you're adding a category, this is my second tip. Generally, when you create a category, if you can always remember to come down here under Advanced Info and make a couple of changes. Okay, so Advanced Info, you're going to go to Category Display, or I'm sorry, Product Display right here. And under Product Display Mode, I like what's called the responsive grid. Okay, so Product Display Mode, responsive grid, and then down here at the bottom where it says Show Description and Show Description Short, we like to do No and No. That creates the most usable, simple, clean formatting for the product display on a category page. Okay, so this is when you're creating a category or if you're editing a category, Advanced Info, Product Display, you want responsive grid, No and No there at the bottom. Okay? All right. Guys, I don't think we're going to do any more. I'll hold on just for another minute for questions, but as far as the recording is concerned, we're going to turn it off. Hopefully this was a good introduction to help you understand what Volusion is all about and why we use it.